Okay, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Saturday Morning Mastermind. I'm your host, Samantha Studebaker-Carl, broadcasting to you live from beautiful Indianapolis, Indiana. And I'm here with my good friends, Catherine and Sandy and Christina. And this morning we're going to be talking about how to live naturally in the 21st century. And the reason we're talking about this topic today is because we've been discussing the book, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao by Wayne Dyer. And in that book, he discusses each of the verses of the Tao Te Ching. And we are on verse 23 that's talking about living naturally. But before we get started with this conversation, I want to just tell everybody to meet us over at SaturdayMorningMastermind.com. SaturdayMorningMastermind.com. That's all one word. And that will take you over to our blog post page where you can watch the live broadcast, as well as scroll down to the bottom and add your thoughts in the comment section. And as we kind of go through this conversation, I really want to get everybody's input on it, because I feel like we definitely have a lot to discuss with the living naturally thing. A lot of things have come up kind of in my mind this morning about this topic, and I'm sure they have with you as well as we've been going through this. And I also want to thank Christina for writing our blog post this week. She's done a wonderful job of really touching on all the reasons why being more natural is a positive thing. So let's go ahead and give everybody a chance to introduce themselves. While those of you who are moving over to SaturdayMorningMastermind.com, and go ahead and jump out, guys.
Good morning, everybody. Christina Irvin here. I'm in Northeast Tennessee, and actually looking forward to this discussion because I had some additional thoughts that I didn't put in the blog. So let's see if my very sleepy mind can remember them.
Good morning, Sandy Root here in Miami Beach, Florida. Good to be here again. And great blog post, Christina. I checked it out this morning.
Good morning, it's Catherine Clement in Boulder, Colorado. Good to be here. Great article this week, Christina, thanks.
Okay, so let's start by reading this 23rd verse of the Tao Te Ching. Who wants to jump out and read that this morning?
I can read it. Or Sandy can read it. You want to read it? Go ahead. All right, 23rd verse. To talk little is natural. Fierce winds do not blow all morning. A downpour of rain does not last the day. Who does this? Heaven and earth. But these are exaggerated, forced effects, and that is why they cannot be sustained. If heaven and earth cannot sustain a forced action, how much less is man able to do it? Those who follow the way become one with the way. Those who follow goodness become one with goodness. Those who stray from the way and goodness become one with failure. If you conform to the way, its power flows through you. Your actions become those of nature, your ways those of heaven. Open yourself to the Tao and trust your natural responses, then everything will fall into place.
Thank you, Catherine. And I hope my chair is not too squeaky. I've switched to a new chair. We'll see. Okay, good. Okay, so living naturally in the 21st century, this is an interesting concept, right? Because in the 21st century, we're talking about, advancing more and more in technology and becoming more connected through our, our smartphones and our computers, and everything's going to mobile, and we've got these little mobile, I don't, but, the little mobile watches, and it's like on Inspector Gadget, you talk to people on your watch, right? And so everything's becoming more and more technical, but yet we have this kind of trend going on where people are, kind of have this kind of this trend towards living off grid and eating organic and moving to the tiny houses and just kind of downsizing, right? So what I find interesting about this is this whole technology side, but yet the whole contrasting part of the being more natural. Yeah, so what do you guys think about, I don't know, why do you think that we are moving in that direction? Why do you think we are moving so fast in one way, and yet in the other way we're going towards more natural?
That's a good question. I think it's a bit counterintuitive, but people don't really recognize that we are always pulling opposite forces, because the nature in itself is always seeking balance. So that, there's going to be which means there's always got to be that need for opposite forces to be pulling against each other. And particularly in the 21st century, we are so hypersensitized because of all of the different mediums and channels and energies coming at you. I mean, literally, my phone has a new notification of a sort like every day, and I know not how it happens. But there's a bird chirping, there's a bell ringing, there's a vibration, there's a whistle. I'm like, what is going on? And it's like, well, if I download an app, all of a sudden I hear new noises. I don't even know how to turn them off. I can't even check. I can't have a phone call. I can't check an email. Like, that's just the way our world is. And so, of course, we're naturally in our physical body, like our minds, nature is already predisposed to balance itself out. Our bodies can't. We're taking in so much that we've got to have the craving for the simplicity, and the downsizing is going to be natural because we're taking in so much these days, just sitting and being. If you've got a TV on and your cell phone and a tablet in your hand, like, you've got too much going on.
Yeah, it's this chapter made me think about those types of things, and yeah, like you said, Christina, it's like this contradiction in a way. But yeah, I was talking to a friend the other day about how did we even used to get around without a GPS, and we just did it, and it was normal, and we wrote directions down, and we had maps, and and now like you said, with the phone, it's you pick it up to do something, and there's 1,000 other notifications, and then you're like, wait, what did I come on here for the first place? And you forget. There's just information overload, and this chapter, how it was talking about things, keep changing, and there's the things decompose, and just constantly changing, and so that's looking over my life at how things have changed. It's like we can resist it and fight against it, or I guess with the way of the Tao is just flow with it, and go with the flow of how things are changing so quickly, and yeah, like you were saying, Samantha, about the organic foods and stuff like that, and becoming more people becoming more knowledgeable about that too. I was noticing also the other day that I remember when I was a kid, we were outside all day, and my mom would ring the bell at sunset. And now I don't know if it's the places that I live, but I never see kids outside all day ever anymore. And I'm like, that's sort of sad. They're probably on their phones with the beep, 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 and and it's we can look at those things and resist them, or be upset about them, or be like, okay, that's where it's at, and see where it's going to go now. And but I also have a lot of friends with young kids who teach them how to garden and take them out in the yard and make sure that they are connected to the earth. So yeah, there's definitely these contradictions going on that are interesting to watch and see where it's going.
Yeah, and it's not just a contradiction to watch, it's definitely a contradiction to experience. I went from being very sort of anti-technology to now that's pretty much all I do, right? So, but there's also this, I live in a time, I've already been out in the garden this morning, and everything I've eaten for the last several days has come just from the garden, you know. So it's a beautiful, I still have my connection to earth, thank goodness, and I'm still grounded, but yeah, there's this whole other side to me that's more like a robot or a machine or something, you know. And thankfully, you know, my daughter is my kids are raising their kids to play outside, and they have chickens and eggs and all that kind of gardening and all that kind of stuff going on over there. So I'm really glad that they're following suit. I know I kept them outside. We used to go camping a lot. That was mainly because once you bought the camping equipment, it was sort of a free activity, you know, so it was inexpensive to do with the family. But yeah, but you know, you can watch that in nature. You can watch the cycles of birth and life and death. Where's that one line I really loved the best out of this whole thing is, if heaven and earth cannot sustain a forced action, how much less is a man able to do it? You know, once in a while we bump up against our limits, or sometimes if you're going after it, you bump up against your limits every day. And that's going to be one of those little things that sticks in the back of my mind if I'm, you know, if I didn't do what I expected to do that day or whatever. If I start to get down on myself, I'm going to remember that you can't sustain that. Even nature can't sustain that go, 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 you know, all the time. You have to let the tide go out and the tide come back in, basically.
Yeah, that actually was one of those things that I was hoping I would be able to remember. Then when Sandy was talking about kind of going with it and what you just said, I think metaphorically it kind of helped me to think of it kind of like water in a dam, and how literally if the water continues to rise, like the water's gonna displaced one way or another. It's going to go over the dam, it's going to crack through the dam, but the dam literally is not going to just stop the water if it gets so high with so much power built up. And we falsely, let me just say, I'll speak for myself, like literally there are times, and I've gotten so much better with that over, you know, the past year with learning more about my personal worth and balancing and being balanced. But in general, we typically tend to think that we can overcome anything, and that we can withstand anything, and that we don't have to go with the flow of anything. And quite honestly, nature will put you on your butt. Whether it's me and my lack of sleeping, literally, it's gonna happen. Like my body's getting ready to shut down and make me sleep. If you feel like if you happen to be one of those people who just feels like you always have to be stoic and not show emotion, well, it's going to become so overcoming. There is going to be that one thing that is going to make you break, and you will feel that emotion, whether it comes out as anger, whether it comes out as pain, or whatever. There will not be a point where you can just endlessly be stoic and detached, right? So for me, I was thinking about with this chapter and nature, if we learn to identify kind of like, and I'm going to speak about this, but I clearly know nothing about it, like a surfer who waits for that good wave to come and then they hop up and they ride the wave, right? Like if we got more like that in life, we would probably be happier and more harmonious, don't you think?
I think that's a good point, and I think that and I like how it talks about, that even heaven and earth. I mean, just even nature can't sustain that long-term effort. It kind of builds up, and then some massive thing happens, tornado or tsunami, earthquakes or whatever, and it makes some big changes, and then everything goes back to that level of calmness, and then and so I was kind of thinking about that. I'm like, how can I apply the same principle in my own life of not trying to just do everything all the time, but to kind of like what Christina was saying, wait for the wave of inspiration, or just that the something inside that compels you to take a specific action that gets a good result, you know. And like, well, you know, I mean, one of the weeks just prior, I was talking about writing the blog posts and how I wasn't trying to force it to happen, but I was waiting for kind of that inspiration. And I've noticed that when I just sit down and try and make myself write something, it doesn't flow as easily. It kind of is garbled, and it's like I'll have a thought here and a thought there, and it doesn't really come together. But then when I just kind of let that stew for a little bit, then it comes out naturally when I'm kind of least expecting it. You know, like so many times we'll be in the shower and you're taking your shower, and all of a sudden you have this like light bulb moment. You know, I feel like that's what it's trying to tell us, is that it's that time. That's when you're supposed to take that big action and do that one thing. You know, because I mean, if we're trying to keep going, I mean, what is it that causes disease and stress-related stuff? It's that constantly trying to go without a break, without a you know, a refresher, or being connected with nature, or whatever it is. And I think that's kind of one of the reasons why we are all kind of leaning more towards trying to reconnect with nature, because we feel that peace of nature. And we feel that calm, and I think that is our natural state, is that peace and calm, but yet all the technology and all the ringing bells and all the notifications and all of everything else is trying to get us to go. But that's kind of my thoughts at the moment. But I also wanted to just real quick, Karen Mohoff is watching out there on Google+. Welcome, Karen. We'd love to hear your thoughts too. Share your thoughts on why you think that we need to be living more naturally in the 21st century. Okay, I'll give it over to somebody else.
Yeah, I agree with what you were saying, Samantha. I was starting to think along those lines when you said, Catherine, about the tide going in and out. Like, we need to take those moments in our lives where we're going in and out, and maybe with technology, taking a break from technology. I know there's been moments over the past few months where it's just like I'm almost breaking down because I keep going, and it's like I have to shut this down for the rest of the day, you know, and just, even if I have 1,000 things that I think I need to do, like, it's like every piece of me is like, close it down and go to the beach, or just lay on the couch, or just stare at the wall and do nothing. And it's in those moments when we're taking those breaks that the ideas start to flow again, inspiration starts to come back. And yeah, I totally know what you're saying, Samantha, about those times, you know, where we're forcing versus going with inspiration, and it's a struggle when we're forcing things. And just a little break of an hour can bring, you know, take that mode away. Sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it takes weeks, months, but yeah, it's all, I think I agree with you that the chapter is, you know, in a way talking a lot about that going, you know, with those the ups and downs and the inspirations and the versus the forces, and taking these breaks for ourselves, especially in our society today where you pick up the phone and there's a billion notifications. So yeah, shut it down sometimes.
Come on, Donna, get out here, girl. You're muted, baby. Get your thing off of mute. I can't hear you, honey. You're not muted, but I can't hear you for some reason.
Yeah, maybe try jumping off and jump back on. Maybe you're having an audio issue. I don't know. Right on. So what are you guys' ideas on this? You know, if we're going to try and live more naturally, what are your suggestions? We wanted to kind of, I don't know, de-stress and, you know, not be going, you know, I have this, for a long time, I had this feeling inside myself, if I wasn't going, I wasn't really working towards my goal. I was lazy, I was this, I was that, you know. And you know, if you really want to make this thing happen, you got to work 24/7, 365, and you know, of course, that just kind of creates that burnout. And then you get to the point where you're like, ugh, I've had it. I'm just not going to do anything anymore. Just not. I don't want to do it. And but then you start going in another direction, and you're waiting for that inspiration. I think that's the hardest part, in my opinion. What do you guys think? That waiting for the inspiration, or how do you think you can get it easier? Or
Well, I think I've come to realize that, at least for myself, that the key is that to understand what natural state is. And I don't think that that is something that we inherently do as culturally, and particularly, I mean, I don't even know if it's just our culture, you know, here in America or whatever. I think this is just a worldly kind of thing. But the way that the world is today, even from birth, we're just not even taught the natural state. These kids today they pop out with an iPad in their hand. So I just, I mean, I don't understand. These little kids know how to do stuff. How you know how to do this at this age? So I think understanding a natural state and understanding that everybody's natural state isn't necessarily the same. You know, one person may be extremely laid back and quiet and observant, and their natural state is a natural calm. But you know, there are just those people who are just always just like chaotic, and their energy just makes you nervous because they're just always so out there. So if we understand that nature is always a tug of war between the extremes trying to reach balance, and we then also understand our own personal natural state, then we also know what we're probably predisposed to, what energies we're predisposed to be sensitive to, for you know. So if I'm a person who's always, then I need to be more conscious and aware of. I don't know if we left or whatever. Like, I think I'm only seeing like a black screen, so I don't know. Are we still there? Okay. So if we're just conscious and aware of our natural state, then we're probably more aware of our predisposed tendencies, and that we will be able to be more conscious of how to get to a balanced state. What do you think?
yeah, I had on that note of, you know, differences between, you know, different people, and I had two kind of thoughts on that. One is the other day there was a lady in the checkout lane at you know, clothing store, and she had a real laid back, calm personality, and she was trying to do a return or exchange or something along that lines, and the checkout girl was super hyperactive and talking like 100 miles an hour, and yeah, you know, and the woman who was calm kind of instantly got this impression that the checkout girl was, you know, being short with her and you know, unfriendly. But, you know, kind of standing there as an observer, I could tell neither one of them were upset, but they both thought they were upset. And it was just funny because it was that clash of calmness versus hyperness, you know, and the, you know, the hyper girl, she was just all happy, bubbly, blah, 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 blah. She was like just talking really fast, but the other woman just thought that was, she was being mean, you know, or what's rude, or you know what I'm saying. But anyway, I thought that was just an interesting observation based on what you were just saying, Christina, and the differences between people. But then the other one that came up for me, the thought of, you know, from what you were saying as far as, you know, recognizing your own, you know, your own tendencies. And you know, we have this kind of thing going on right now in the world where we have all these really hyper kids. And, you know, the natural tendency for those of the older generation is to, you know, we need to slow these kids down. They're too fast. They're too busy. They're too this. They're too that. And, you know, and so then it's like, but yet at the same time, for the kids that have been nurtured to take on that natural hyper energy and focus it on something, they're like geniuses in some kind of, it's like, have you guys seen the two cellos? Those two kids that are the cello players that are, I mean, they play those cellos like I can't even imagine how they do that. I mean, it's so super fast and so, I mean, in sync with each other. And I'm sitting here thinking about that, and I'm like, wow, you know, this is what happens when you encourage and you focus these kids that have all this excess energy into something that they can be passionate about, and how it explodes into this amazing creativity versus trying to squelch that natural tendency to have that higher energy, that higher, faster thought processes, and all of those kinds of things. And you know, and I completely understand the whole side of you know, being unsure of how to react to children who are like that, because I'm a very calm personality, and but you know, people that are like, I'm like, whoa, slow it down just a little bit. You know? So I mean, I understand how hard that could be for a parent who's got a kid that is like super hyperactive, but at the same time, when you see some of the results of some of these kids who are, you know, coming up in this day and age, and who are super hyperactive, but they've been encouraged instead, it's just amazing the results that you can get. So I love how you were talking, Christina, about, you know, recognizing the natural tendency regardless of whether it's a calm one or it's a hyper one. That's a good point.
Or you could be like me and be in the middle. Like I'm an in the middle kind of person, and I'm very aware of my range. So if I'm around someone who's just got way too much energy, you will hear me say, you know, girl, you are on like turned up to like 1,000, and you stressing me out. Like I'll be like, you're making me tired.
I think we heard you there for a second, Donna. Unmute again.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yep, there you go. Go for it.
I don't know what it's okay. It's all right. Whatever is what I say. Yeah, I love this verse, and apologize for coming on here a little bit late. But it's all good. We're learning. Yeah, good verse, natural. I I I have to honestly say that this verse, if I had to check myself before my birthday last week. I just totally unplugged. I went on out, done my thing, and you know, you have to do that sometimes. You know, and if you're not able, to do that, then it's time to check some things. You know, I realize everybody's lives is different. You know, you got families, and a lot of people, especially my group. When I say my group, I'm talking about my local kin folks back home, or whoever may know me. They're all the time saying, Donna, you got it made. You don't have no children. You got it made in the shade. I say, hush. I just say, hush. Just because I don't have children, that don't mean that my stresses are not up there too. You know, but I've just learned that how to balance my life out. But yeah, sometimes, you know, you're pushed and you're stretched like a rubber band. And when you know you've took on everything that you possibly can take on, you got to go over there just like literally at that wall and unplug that, phone or outlet. Unplug it, you know. And I really seriously believe Dr. Wayne Dyer is talking about our modern day society. I went back and read the beginning of the book to kind of help me to understand that, because I listen to the trees, I listen to the water. I haven't been able to get to the beach yet, but I love the beach. Now listen, I'm gonna get ready to tell you, I'm not a swimmer, but I can float. So I can float now, but don't put me out there trying to swim. You might not see me next time. But you know, when you listen in the silence and you just listen, and like Dr. Wayne, people is just so noisy now, and that's why I just took a step back and said, okay, you know, my natural self is my natural self, and that's not depending any roses on me, because if I try to do anything outside of the limits of what I know that is myself, somebody says, well, you need to get out of your comfortable zone. I've been out of my comfortable zone. I'm out of my comfortable zone now. Everybody's so good. Well, I say not everybody, but a lot of people want to just think that you're not out of your comfortable zone, or ever how you want to say that. But they don't know that, because they think because you're down key, you're low key. And like Christina just said, you can get hyper, you can get up. But if I get out here and get to getting hypey on anything in life, it's just totally not me, because if it can't be natural, if it can't be down, slow it down a little bit and don't try to get me and all over here doing this, then it's a natural process for me. Now, that's natural for me. But anything outside of that, I'm like Christine. I'm like, you done took my energy away. You done sucked the energy out of me. I'm going over here to the wall now, and I'm going to unplug and just go back under the water. I might come back up, but I'll come back up in time. That's what I got from that beginning of that. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
That's funny. So I'm curious, what do you guys think about, because I know in the post that I was talking about time, and I am more and more becoming more conscious of time. I think that's probably natural too. As you age, you become more conscious and aware of time too, because you begin to lose loved ones to death and sickness, and your hair starts to turn gray. I got 3 new gray hairs, and it's stressing me out. And your body, like, you don't mend the way you used to, and you wake up in the morning and you're like, whoa, I can't move anything. Like, so what do you guys think about time and nature, and how, again, in the 21st century, how we're living? Are we constantly pushing against it, or what? What do you think?
Time appears to be quite mutable. Thank God, because in quiet space for a minute or two, it doesn't even have to be an hour. I mean, obviously, everybody doesn't have an hour that they can just zone out sometimes. So I think I probably learned that being a nurse for 20 years. Like, it doesn't matter how many people come through that door, you have to take care of them. So it doesn't matter how stressed you get, you have to deal with it. And if that means taking one moment to breathe and bring yourself back to center, and learning how to do it in a moment. I think breathing, meditation, now there's all kinds of different forms of meditation. There's like the sitting, very quiet type of meditation, but then there's walking meditation, and there's music meditation. There's all kinds of meditation, so whatever works for you. But I think really learning how to bring yourself back into that balance, because like you said, Christina, nature's always seeking balance, and in the body, that is its main function, is to maintain homeostasis. I mean, if we had to be in control of all the processes going on in our body to maintain homeostasis on a minute-by-minute basis, we wouldn't make it very far. The body's amazing, but I think it's important as entrepreneurs, those of us that work from home on a full-time basis. I have alarms set, because I'm a go kind of person sometimes when it comes to my passion. It's not because I don't feel like I'm working. I'm totally engaged in what I'm doing. I'm loving it, so it doesn't feel like work. But I can get lost in that, and I can go all day long without eating or something. So I have alarms set to remind me, get up and move. I have this song that I play, get up and dance, go outside and get your feet in the dirt. I have alarms set to do different things to pull me back into balance a little bit through the days. And I think that's important. And I think that, it's interesting where we started at the very beginning of this conversation today, or it came in, I think, Samantha, you brought it in about how the kids seem to be so wired, right, today. But look at the difference in our world and our environment and our culture today as opposed to when we were kids. I know I'm probably the oldest one here on the panel, but still, maybe they have to be wired for their bodies to like keep up with all this shit, you know, like we're having to learn how to deal with it, right? But they're coming in like totally wired so that they can just plug right into this super computerized world that we live in. Now the natural part of me says get them off the sugar, get them off, you know, take the thing out of their hands and make them go climb a tree or introduce them to a bicycle or, you know, stuff like that. But it is a different world. They have to be, I mean, I don't know about the whole evolution thing. I think there's a lot about our history that is like not right. Like what we've been told isn't right. But we do evolve. I mean, we do adapt as human beings. We either adapt or we die, one or the other. So maybe the kids are just coming in adapted to the environment that they're being exposed to. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree, Catherine. I think that you're right on that, and I think that there's a lot that needs to change to recognize and encourage that versus discourage it and try and make it conform to what it used to be. And you know, I know we could probably talk on that for hours, but I agree, and I think it's interesting, kind of looking at it from an observer standpoint of just how much different the kids are these days than what they were when we were kids and what they were when our parents were kids. And I mean, it's just everything is changing so much, and it's speeding up, or it seems to be speeding up. But it seems like it's more like more things happen in a shorter amount of time, I guess. And I think that it is because we're so connected. I mean, it used to be that, you know, in order to get a message to somebody, you had to have a person literally walks that message across to wherever it is. You know, if you lived in Indiana and you wanted to get a message to somebody in New York, it would take weeks because somebody had to ride that Pony Express to get the message there, you know. And now you can talk with people on the other side of the world instantaneously on video, and you can collaborate with them on projects. And I mean, it just boggles the mind how much faster everything has become in our communication side of it, and in the technology, even making things happen. In other parts of the world with our remote technology and all of that kind of thing. So I think you're right. I think that kids they've got to be able to deal with that. And because, I mean, us, you know, we've kind of grown, we were born in one era where things were not so fast, and then they've sped up during our lifetime, and so we've kind of adapted over that time. But the kids that are being born today, they have to be instantly ready for that. I mean, I guess it was not really that much different for us, because I mean, if we were to compare ourselves when we were born to our parents when they were born, you know, we were pretty much adapted to what our technology level and society level was when we came in too. We just didn't see it as that big of a difference, but I guess, you know, I mean, our parents probably noticed it, right? That I don't know. I know, Christine, you were kind of talking about time. There's a little section into this book that talks about that. It says it's the quote from T.S. Eliot, and it says, "Because I know that time is always time, and place is always and only place, and what is actual is actually only for one time, and only for one place, I rejoice that things are as they are." And I think that that's interesting because, you know, every time is a little bit different, and every, I guess, moment is interesting to see how things are evolving. I don't know. That's all I have right now.
So are you saying, trying to catch up. There was, see, you put all them words in there, and then I get confused. I guess said another way, each moment is in and of itself that moment can't be gotten back, right? Yeah? Is that what all that meant?
Yeah, I don't know if it's not that it can't be gotten back. I mean, it is, obviously. I mean, each moment is its own moment. I mean, I don't know, that's an interesting topic right there, you know, because they say that, I mean, all we really have is this moment right here and right now. I mean, there really is no future, and there really is no past. There's only now. And if we live in the now, what is it that feels the most natural right here in this moment? And how do we make the best of this moment? And I think we're so caught up sometimes in what we're trying to make happen in the future, or what we're trying to overcome from the past, that we sometimes miss this moment. And are we missing the fullness of this moment? And I don't know. I mean, I think that's part of what it's trying to point out to us is, hello, hey, this moment is where you want to be. You know, this is the moment you want to pay attention to. I don't know.
Yeah, that was another one of those things that I was hoping to be able to remember, because I do think that, going back to my comment where, you know, we need to understand natural state in our personal, there is nature itself and then our personal natural state too. I think we also need to understand moments, consciousness. I don't know if that's a real term, but if not, I just coined a term for myself. Because the more I've learned, I'm learning to be more conscious in the moment. It makes me more in awe of our brains and how amazing our brains are. That literally, in a very moment, there can be all kinds of crazy chaos going around me, and me not hear any of it because I'm so totally tunnel visioned or fixated on this one thing. But then, and science sort of proves it when people, you know, get hypnotized, and the things that they're able to recall for like trials and things like that, when consciously you ask the person the question, they can't recall anything. But, you know, if they get in that state, then they can recall colors and smells and temperatures and all kinds of things. So I think I'm gonna have to ponder on that when you made it get deep on that one, Samantha. I'm gonna have to ponder that a little bit more. Really quickly, going back to the kids though, I don't know. I think that we also dismiss the sub levels to consciousness and awareness and balance too, because, you know, yes, kids are a little hyperactive and stuff, and I think, yeah, what they eat, but I also think the fact that they're pretty much sitting on their butts twiddling their thumbs rather than outside sweating is a whole different thing too. But then again, I also think that there's what your home balance is too. You know, you take a kid who's from a very abusive home, and, you know, a teacher that is very keen on watching their students would be able to pick up on a kid who's probably dealing with a lot of that at home just by their mere mannerism in a classroom and how they respond to a book dropping or something like that. So I think that there's different levels too of energies that probably would have to be discussed on that level.
Yeah, Christine, you hit it there. You know, I won't be able to go in detail about it, but my friend roommate works with children, school teacher, and all that. And yeah, that's exactly right. You know, because that's where I learned a lot of my stuff. Because yeah, their time, our time is so different, and we at this time, I seriously believe that we are allowed this time to be that teacher for the child. Does not even have to be our per se child that we birthed, you know, because I say that because I was, you know, given a chance to be named a goddaughter many years ago. I had a goddaughter, still have her today. But I've noticed her baby. Children, all they know is that now, and all they know is time, and they act out, like you said. They go to school. You know, in a sense, we acted out, you know, and we still act out today if they got something that's just pushing at them and just nagging at them. A lot of them now don't get the attention at home, and they'll just go and grab this here and all this other stuff, and they're just being so distracted in that. And then when the teacher has to call them out in this day and time, now I'm talking from experience now because of what I heard from a friend, but I'm not a school teacher. But there's some that just have to be called out to the side, and you just got to just love on them. You just have to. Teachers, you know, a lot of times, I'm saying this, I'm a hush, guys. I'll get on a pet peeve on this one, and I don't want to do that. But that is so true in our world. We have to bring that. It starts with us. You know, we can't help the whole world, but we can help our world around, you know, around us. And when you see anything that's out of the ordinary, you can take action. You can take action in that moment, in that time, and say, well, what can I do to help this situation? Maybe this person's needing something from me right now, you know, that they're not getting somewhere else. You know, it's people just tired of all this. It's like you hear the same thing all the time. Everywhere you go, everything's like a same thing, but change something. Change that environment. If it's friction with the child, friction with the parent, teacher, whatever, business, maybe there's something in that for you to do right then, right now.
That was so good, Donna. We got to be active partners in creating nature's balance, too. That was really good. You know, it's my responsibility. If there's chaos going on, I can come in the room and I can add to that chaos, or I can bring some calm in the room and some calm and fits going on. Yeah, that's really good. I don't know if we're frozen. Are we frozen?
Now. Okay, so guys, share your final thoughts for this week on living more naturally. What final thoughts do you have on that? Who wants to jump out?
I will. Well, eat some real food. Stuff that's not processed or made in a factory somewhere. You know, God pretty much gave us exactly what we need. And turn off the damn computer and go outside and put your feet in the dirt. All right, that's my saying. Have a great week.
Yeah, I was thinking along those lines too about eating naturally, and you know, you had asked a question earlier, Christina, about you know, how our bodies start to, you know, change and things start to creak or whatever. But I think if we're also very aware, we're in a time too where we have access to so much more things that are healthy for us, and organic foods and supplements and this and that and healing modalities. You know, there's just so much. There's an it's an overload of information with all of that too. You know, I'm always researching health conscious things, and I, you know, just 30 years ago, people had a much shorter lifespan. So we do have a longer lifespan because we have access to more technologies for health and more awareness of worldwide modalities that we're incorporating all over the world now. So tapping into those kind of things, and you know, growing our own food and being more connected to nature, I think is helping our bodies too. And taking those breaks in our lives, because if we do keep going, like we've said, I think Samantha and Christina have said, you know, the stress is causing diseases, so we need those times to connect and really take care of ourselves. You know, so I guess it depends on the person. You know, some people are stuffing fast food in their face all day and laying on the couch, and of course they're going to start creaking and having issues. But if you really take care, move your body every day, eat healthy, watch what you're putting in, then I'm not creaking yet. So I guess I'm still fairly young, but I know back in the day when people said you turn 40, you start creaking. So I'm happy I'm not creaking. I'm not going to believe those age things. So it's also belief, I think, what you believe about bodies aging that causes aging as well. And you'd mentioned something earlier, Samantha. I wrote a note, but we never got back around to it, about when we have those moments of frustration versus being inspired, like how to deal with the frustration while you're waiting, like in those periods where it's like, I just don't feel like doing anything, and nothing's coming to me, and I just feel blah, and I'm not inspired. That happened to me last year for a few weeks, or maybe even a couple months, where I was just like, I thought I would never get out of it. I was just like, I don't want to do anything. I don't feel like doing anything. I have no inspiration. All the passions that I felt that I had, I wasn't doing. I just didn't want to. And I think if we just surrender to it, it transforms. Like everything ebbs and flows. So just be with it and enjoy other things. Enjoy the frustration. Enjoy the non-inspiration times, because when they're over, it's like, it's like the wave. It's like you're down, and then it just comes out of nowhere again. So just trust that it's a downtime, and it's there for a reason, for something new to spawn and spur and come to light. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I like the surrender to it. As a matter of fact, for me, I think the summary of my blog post is probably just really kind of says it for me, and appreciating that there's a natural order to things, and in that appreciation, literally, I think the final assignment of the chapter was to observe nature and come up with 3 things in nature that are kind of like symbols for you. And one of my personal observations, I find it in an idiom and a quote, is there's always calm before the storm, and never give up. Today is hard, tomorrow will be worse, but the day after tomorrow will be sunshine, Jack Ma. And it's that is, and when it comes to balance and how we're living and how we're responding to nature, if you're understanding that, damn, things are freaking crazy, and I cannot not one more thing can happen today, not one more thing can happen this month, for real. It's not my turn. There's enough going on in my life right now. It's not my turn. When you just are able to take a step back in the moment and be like, whoo, Lord, I got some good times coming, because the bad times have been rolling in. It will help you change your perspective in your energy, and rather than contributing to the negative energy that has created so much momentum in your life, you automatically stop that negative energy and blunt that negative energy and start to feed into the momentum that's building up in positive energy. And again, nature's just going to take you with it. Just ride that wave.
Well, this was a fast hour. Is it already the top of the hour, Samantha? Oh wow! Well, anyway, I'll say this, and on my last closing thoughts there, it's like the seesaw. I don't know if anybody out there some people probably heard. You got that. I don't think it. Life is, to me, I look at like the seesaw when we play on the grounds. You talk about the natural. You're up and you're down. You're up. That's going to be life. That is life. It's like the seesaw, up and down. It's hard to balance a seesaw. And when it comes back to eating natural foods, a lot of us is not. We don't. Now I was raised on natural foods, growing our foods, but today, I'll be honest with you, it's so difficult living here in the city to grow a garden now here in the city. So we mostly have to make the time, sacrifice, and go down to the farmer's market, get some. But that's not always the case. But what I'm saying is that's just life. We have within ourselves, within you yourself, try to find that balance in your environment, in your world. Because the world is getting smaller. Really, it is. And it's like full circle coming back around, but it's going to be I look at it like Christine and everybody just said, I see things as not going to, I see, yeah, our earth has been contaminated, which is the heart of God is this earth. And he loves us, and we're just down here, we're just messing up big time. But I really see that our future is going to be corrected in some kind of way. I don't know what kind of way, but I just know it's going to be corrected, and it's going to be good. Like that calm before the storm. We may be in that calm right now. The storm's going to come, but I still feel we'll be okay. That's my final remark.
Love what everybody was saying, and Christine, when you said appreciate the natural order of things, and then Donna suggesting that the natural order is ups and downs, and in a previous chapter we talked about the only constant is change, and how when we embrace the naturalness of ups and downs and coming and going and the ebb and flow of life, is that when we embrace that change, then we are living more naturally versus trying to fight against every little thing that's happening to us. And I feel like when I worry about stuff, that is me, fighting against what's happening versus just taking what's happening and doing the best that I can with it, and just looking for the opportunities and in those situations to gain that inspiration that pushes us forward into life in a positive way, in the way that we need to go. And sometimes it may feel like something horrible is happening, and yet that horribleness is that nature coming in there and making something happen. It's that force that has to happen in order for things to change. And sometimes it can feel unpleasant, but then we can look back and go, that wasn't such an unpleasant thing. It was just a thing, and it was something that happened to get me to where I am right now. So I don't know, that's my thoughts for this week. And guys, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us and watching and adding your thoughts to the conversation. And this has been a wonderful, wonderful discussion. So with that, guys, have a great, awesome, and amazing weekend. And if you like this video, please like us on YouTube, share it on Google+, Facebook, Twitter, and all of that kind of thing. And of course, you can always find us at mindsetmasterycollective.com. And you can always find our weekly live broadcast at SaturdayMorningMastermind.com. So with that, we'll see you next week, and have a great day. Bye for now.